Holy shit. You're a Survivor winner. I tell you fucking what.
I know.
You were old enough to watch the first ever Survivor? Did you watch the first ever? So I watched the first ever Survivor and like incredible.
Loved it.
And so ever since I watched that, wanted to be on Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
You've been on Survivor. Not only have you been on Survivor, if I went on Survivor, I'd get kicked off after 3 days. I'd piss someone off and they get me out. You've been on Survivor and you've won.
I know.
Holy shit.
I can't.
How's that feel?
Fucking insane. I literally still can't wrap my head around it. Like, how did I do that? Like, I'm a glamour puss. Like, I don't do camping. Clearly I do now. But
You're a camper.
I honestly feel like it was everything I'd ever learned in pole vault that got me to win. Like, this sounds so insane, but I feel like Survivor was like my moment that I never got to have with pole vault.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I never felt like in pole vault I reached my potential. I never felt that I maxed out. Whereas with Survivor, it was like I had to use every single thing I'd ever learned, like all of my resilience, all of my like training mentally, physically, like the social aspects, like all of it just went into Survivor and it just worked like naturally.
I've got so many questions.
Do you feel like that sort of filled a little 2016 hole?
100%.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm fulfilled.
So how do you prepare for Survivor? Like how do you prepare? What are you doing when you get called up for Survivor? You're out like working out, doing some vaults?
Absolutely
Learning
not.
how to make fire.
No, did none of that. I was on a girls' trip in London on a holiday and then left straight from London after a week of partying to go straight to Samoa to film.
Wow.
So I was just like, really want to do this. I really want to do Survivor. I'm like, got the time now, like, let's do it. And I think because I had freshly stopped pole vaulting, I just had so much going on that I was like so busy and excited and just like doing all these things I wasn't ever able to do. And I said yes to Survivor, but I'd had a Europe trip already planned and I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to go to Europe for as long as I can and then I'll go straight there.
Yes.
So I did that and then rocked up on Survivor and then...
How many days do you have to be prepared to, like how many days were you filming or like on the island?
So in total, it was like a week before shooting started for like COVID lockdown vibe. And then 5 days after. So 47 plus 7 plus 5. Like almost 60 days.
62.
Yeah.
One.
I'm like, so
A lot.
Okay.
2 months.
So
2 months, yeah.
so you do no preparation. Do you have a plan going in? You've watched, but you said you'd watch Survivor.
Yeah, okay. So my plan was be me,
Yeah.
tick. And then I wanted to, like, I'm an introverted extrovert. Like, I have my friends. I don't care to make new ones. And so going on Survivor, I was like, I have to not be a bitch. Like, I have to be nice to people and, like, get to know people and, like, engage. So that was my number one thing. And then my other thing was don't come on too strong in the challenges. Like, because if you come on, like, too much of a physical threat, they'll just get rid of you.
Right.
And I didn't want to tell them that I was an Olympian. I wanted to lie and say I just worked in marketing, but I have Olympic rings tattooed on my thigh. And so wearing a bikini every day, I wasn't going to be able to get away with that.
Wow.
So I like kind of dumbed down that I was like, hadn't pole vaulted in ages and I was just like chilling and one of the girls and then just came out guns blazing when I had to.
Did you ever think of like a cover story? Like
yeah, well, I was
another
just
different story why
Love
you had
the Olympics.
Yeah.
No,
it's the
like-
biggest Olympic. My auntie competed in the Sydney.
I mean, I could have. But then, like, imagine if someone recognised me.
Yeah, then you'd
You're
be
a
a
liar.
liar.
Out.
Exactly. So, like, you're screwed.
Wow. What's it first? Like the first day? Are you like, oh my God, you're making your own fire? Like, is it real? Is it the Survivor
No,
real?
it is a million times worse than what it looks like.
Worse. I figured there'd be like camera crew being like, here's the lighter. Like,
It's a clicker.
No. Like, I cried and begged to production to give me food. Like, I cried every day. I was so hungry.
And what do they say? No, you
They
can't.
literally just buy you. They're like, you can't talk to me.
And you're asking them for
And
food.
I'm like, I'm so hungry. Like, fucking help us. Like, The wood's wet. We can't start a fire. We can't cook anything. Like, do you want us to die? And they're just like...
Yes, that'd be good viewing, actually. Would one of you please just, like, get closer towards
Like,
there?
we didn't eat for the first 4 or 5 days because it was non-stop rain and we couldn't get a fire going, so we couldn't cook our rice.
So there's no food?
Nothing but coconut. And if you eat too many coconuts, it's a laxative.
Oh, boy.
So...
And you got nothing in your stomach.
Nothing but water.
Is there, like, someone trying to catch fish?
Yeah, but the fish were like tiny. We were in a weird area where there wasn't like proper fish. The crabs were also like tiny. So there was literally the only thing we could forage was coconuts.
I'm gonna act like a real like I didn't watch this series other than I saw you win. I was like, oh my god, it's amazing. So like I said, 5 days no food, and you're trying to be nice to people.
Oh.
Do you get hungry?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's that? Just imagine you being like, be nice, be nice. Be nice.
I was just like removing myself from every situation that I could. But if you had have watched it, you would have seen that I just have like a constant resting bitch face and just like side eyeing and like just my body language was filthy all the time because I was just like
Trying to get food
hanging
off
on
the
by
producers.
fibre.
So I know you made a bit of an alignment. Was that a plan or did that just come about? You had a bit of a crew?
That was natural because I went on. I didn't really I recognised a few people that were returning players, but I didn't pre-game. Like a lot of other people like call up ex-players and be like, are you on this season? Let's work together. I was just like, I'm just going to roll in and just like chill. I know it's really hectic.
It's like against the
That's
rules.
cheating.
Yeah, I feel like it's not right.
It doesn't matter.
But
now
I
you won,
just,
so
I know.
it's like, whatever. Call who you want. You just make them do whatever you want.
They'll be calling you.
They will
Would you do it again?
for the right amount.
They must. Would they pay the returning people?
Yeah.
They'll be paying good, I reckon.
So how much weight did you lose over that time? Like if you're not eating.
About 10 kilos. Wow. And I'm like not
that's what I'm saying, wow.
by the end, like all of my bones, like it got to the point where like, you know, when you see really skinny people and like their heads look really big on their body, like I started to look like that.
Wow.
And like
10 kilos is a lot.
every rib, like every single muscle, like I had like a raging 8-pack by the end just because like all the fat had fallen off me.
That's what we need to do for Fat Chat.
Yeah, Dan lost 10 kilos, but I don't say wow for him. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
well, I've still got a lot
Just
to go.
stop eating.
Yeah, that's
Beans and
what I
rice.
Go to Samoa and just like make sure you're there when it rains.
When you said that you didn't want to be a challenge threat early, so were you throwing, like, you're getting to the point you're just like, I have to bail out, otherwise they're going to think I'm good?
Yeah, there was definitely challenges where I would like assess the room and the challenge, and if it didn't look or feel like something I would win at, I wouldn't push 100% because I want to like preserve my energy because like we're doing challenges every day and they're like so exhausting because you're not then replenishing correctly. But then if I saw one that I was like, okay, this is made for me, then I'd be like going for it.
That would have been tough being a competitive person to not try to win.
I know.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was so
I feel
hard.
like you and I have similar mindsets.
But then
That
like
would have been
at the start when it was like all the challenges were as a team, my team had way less muscle power. Like the other team had like all these AFL players and like surf lifeguards, and then we had like 2 guys and me. So I had to do like all the men's work, like carrying the damn team. It was easy for me to kind of fly under the radar there because I was an asset.
Do you have any close calls getting voted out?
No.
Do you think you were getting voted out at any
I only got 2 votes the whole game.
Wow.
I was
wild.
this close to getting a like clean.
Has anyone done that? The no vote?
I don't think so.
2 would be up there with the least ever.
I know.
So coming into the final 4 or 5, one of you guys was George, right? And you had someone else. Sorry, I'm not the biggest.
Shawnee was gone by then.
Yeah, but then there was a couple of other guys still in that final 4. It was you, George, and 2 other
Me,
guys.
George, Matt, and Jerry.
If you didn't win that, you would have been voted out, right? That final 4, that 4 to go. So what was the challenge? And did you know you had to win it to stay in?
Yeah, I knew for certain that if I didn't win it, I was done because like those 3 boys were like super close and they kept on always saying like, we'll take each other to the end and blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, oh my God, like here we go. And yeah, I went into that final challenge, and
What
it
was
was
it?
standing on a little like thing of wood, like about that thick.
Like a ruler.
Yep.
A
Size of
ruler's,
ruler?
yeah, ruler.
30
And
centimetre ruler.
you either had to have you had to have a part of your both feet on at all times. So whether you went from toes to heels or like kind of slide, but it was like always had to have both feet in contact. And then you had like a cross behind you where you had to have your hands on this piece of wood at all times. And then as time progressed, the host would spin this crank where these 4 spears would come out into your back.
What? Torture?
No,
What
like
is
the
going
last
on?
challenges are always like a torture
Yeah.
thing because it's like pushing your brain to the limit. And so by the end, I was like a
hell happened?
contortionist.
What happened to
How long were you
Survivor?
up there for?
4 hours, just over 4 hours.
Holy
my gosh.
shit.
I know.
This sounds like, without saying it, this sounds like this was made for you though. Like,
Like when I walked out, I was like, oh my God.
so did you think you were going to win it as soon as you saw it?
Yeah, and like Dan, they brought our families to the last challenge, and so Daniel came, and
He
he
would
was
have
like,
loved- he would have loved that.
as soon as I saw it, I just knew it was yours, and I was
That's
like,
cool.
yes,
That's so good.
So, I mean, that would have been emotional.
oh,
Sorry.
so bad,
So,
blubbering mess.
do they bring him and their other families out before the challenge? And they're there for the challenge? Is that
Yeah,
what
so
usually
they're
happens?
there watching. I know it was because George had obviously done it before, so he was like, I think it's today that they come out, and I was like, I'm literally gonna die, like I'm not okay. And we're standing there, and Jonathan, the host, he's like, okay, so like this is today's challenge, and he's like doing his usual stuff, and then he's like, I'll give you a minute to strategize before we start, and we're like, oh, okay, it's not happening. And then he was like, but wait,
Yes.
who do you want to see? Like, who do you miss the most today, Liz? And I was like, oh, like howling. And then like Daniel appears from like over this Samoan cliff face, and it was just like the waves are crashing, and I'm like running over to him, trying not to slip on the rocks. It was so beautiful. It was just the best.
And so then, I'm just imagining from his point of view, like watching you in a like a fight to the death, like genuine, like
You can't do
torture
anything.
chamber, like knowing what was at stake.
I know.
That's amazing.
It was really special.
And then you won.
Were you able to tell him, like, if I don't win this, I'm gone? Or
Yeah, so we had like a few minutes to chat, and I was just like, okay, this is the sitch. Like, I have to win this. And he was like, yep, all good. Like, he knew that it was made for me once we saw what it was. And he was like, it's fine, just relax, stay focused, like just go into the zone. And I was like, obviously. And then they were like sitting there, and they were allowed to cheer, and you were allowed to talk to them because they were like just on a bench a few meters away from where we were like on the cross.
Wow.
And so all the other contestants are like, what's been happening at home? And I was just like, I cannot get into this conversation right now. So I was just like standing there like a mute. And then Daniel would just be like, if I was in a point of pain, like I wouldn't say anything. I would just like look at Daniel, and he would just be like, no, like you're not getting down. And I'd be like, oh my God, okay. Like
That's
it was so good.
that's so good.
That's like, I'm getting like little
Yeah.
chills here.
You need to watch the last episode.
I'm going to have to
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
Not
we'll
because
have to.
Dan's on there, though. I couldn't care less about him. But like, I want to see you dominate these guys. It's like relatively late at night. I'm genuinely going to go and watch the last 3 episodes.
Great.
So good. I know on the final challenge, a lot of people go to the, like, they start to try and just convince others, like, take me, like, I'll get off now, like, just take me. Was that going on at the same time? I haven't seen it.
No, it wasn't. So I was the one telling the host to crank the thing harder and faster because I was like, I don't want to stand up here for 6 hours. Like some of them go for 6 hours, and we were on this cliff face where the waves were so high they were smashing into us, and the wind was like ice. So I was like so cold, I was shaking, soaked with like freezing cold water with the wind hitting. And I was like, can you just crank it all the way to the end? And he was like, okay, because I knew in my mind if we got to the end, I would last longer than the others. So there was me and one guy left, and I wasn't talking to him. And then his foot slipped because we were soaked. His foot slipped, and he just like fell to the ground in a heap. And I was just like, oh my God, I've just won.
Were you close to giving up?
No way. Like I started to shake, and I started to feel like I was going to be sick. I don't know if it was just from like standing there for so long and like dehydration and just all of it. Like I felt like I was starting to like
You'd
my
lost
body was
10 kilos after
Yeah.
in the island for 40 days.
Eating 90 coconuts a day.
And then you do win at the vote as well. So and you get it done and you win Survivor. That's pretty cool. Like without knowing any, I actually genuinely haven't watched it, genuinely don't know anything about it. But when you're telling me stuff about pole vault, I know that you've won Survivor. Literally what I was thinking was this must feel like a cherry on, not a cherry on top, it's like an accomplishment. It must feel like, not that you haven't done anything with pole vault. I mean, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You don't seem to, like, you've fucking done a lot. But like, that's like you beat people at something like, and just dominated. It must feel amazing.
It feels incredible. Like I said earlier, like it feels like that was my thing. Survivor was my thing. And now it's like I'm at peace. Like I'm just chilling.
Walk around, just like
Yeah, literally.
Big
like,
ones.
Fuck everyone.
When you'd won the challenge, did you think like, okay, at what point did you think you could win the whole thing?
Like that night I was obviously like, oh, I'm good for top 3. And then it went to a top 3 final pitch and
apparently you dominated that, I've been told.
absolutely slayed the pitch. I think during the pitch, after I'd said my piece and the others had said theirs, I was like, my argument is so much stronger because I spoke my pitch like telling the jury what I'd done and like, this is why I'm here. Whereas the other guys were like, oh, like I need the money because.
Did you get to hear theirs?
Yeah, so we had to sit through.
Did you go last?
Yeah, I had to go last.
So you're like the closer debater.
I know, and so the whole time I'm sitting there like trying not to listen to them because I've got my lines rehearsed and I like know what's at stake. It's like $500,000 speech. And so I'm sitting there like literally going to be sick.
Wow.
And I somehow did it. Oh,
and you dominated.
yeah.
How long does that actually go for? Because on TV they obviously do a lot of editing.
Oh my God, that final tribal council I reckon went for like a few hours. So like each pitch was like 10 to 15 minutes. And then we all got questions from the jury for like another half an hour. Then it was filming all the endings, filming the families coming out, filming the celebrations, filming that we didn't win. Like it went for so long.
You had to pre-film like as if you'd won.
So the other people had to film that they'd won.
Oh.
Yeah, we all had to film that you'd won and all film that you've lost.
And you're hugging Dan, you're like...
And I'm like, oh my God, I've won. But in reality, I'm like, I just want to go to the hotel. Like, if I knew I'd won, I would have acted very differently.
So you only find out you win post or whatever. Yeah,
Watching the day of, the finale is when we found out.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's
I didn't
cool.
know that they filmed that. That's so disappointing for everyone else having to pretend that they had won.
I know. Well, like you're all filming the moment you've won with hope that it's you.
Yes.
So like you are excited.
Yeah, but it's not real.
And then you have to also be standing on the side while someone's celebrating like, oh, I didn't win.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh God, get me out of here.
So everyone, I mean, a lot of people have asked on social media, like, what's real and what's not. Like, how accurate's the show? Like, have you watched the whole show? Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Right. No, I don't know.
It's on repeat.
I mean, like, I used to go back and watch games at home, so I can actually relate. But, like, so is it?
Yeah, it is. Super accurate. Super real. It comes across a lot more glamorized than it is out there. Like, they don't show a lot of, like, because, look, we're getting filmed for 47 days, 24/7. There's a camera on us, and then that's cut down into 24 episodes of, like, an hour.
Yeah.
So they're missing so much of, like, the pain and the tears and the I want to go homes and the tantrums, and it comes across like a lot more fun.
And it comes across like there's a lot of like, it's just like, seems like wake up 7 a.m. and it's just like, who's in the alignment? Like
Drama.
Who's talking to this person? Like,
Yeah.
is it like that, or is there like a lot of downtime? And like,
There is a lot of downtime, but then like on challenge, on days where like there's drama or there's like problems within the tribe, it is a lot of like, can we have a chat? And you have to run down to the end of the beach so no one else will hear you. And then it's like, okay, we've gone. Now what are those two talking about over there? Like it's this constant like
right.
reading the room.
But you've got like a camera crew with you, so you can't like hide,
No.
right? Like if you go have a chat with someone, it's pretty obvious where you are.
Yeah.
Did they have like those what do they call like the immunity idol, like the ones you don't win in a challenge, but like the hidden
You
ones?
find them. Yep.
Did you think about that? Did you find any?
I found one.
Bullshit.
I found one.
Do they direct you where they are?
Nah.
Well, how'd you find it? I always wonder like.
No, so like History of Survivor, they're always in like a symbolic spot, like somewhere where it looks like something where like you're walking and it catches your eye. Something that stands
It's
out.
not just like hidden in the leaves on the ground.
No, like so I found mine in like the base of this massive palm tree that had tipped over and the roots were all coming out and it was like about up to my head height. And I was like, oh, like I was looking, and then I was like, oh, I'm not going to find one. And then I was like, oh, just look over there. Like that looks weird. And then I went there and it was sitting there and I was like, yeah.
Did anyone know you had it? Like do you hide it?
I hid it and then I told one of the guys that I was working with that I had it, and then we blackmailed 2 other girls to work with us
Using it. That's good. Did you ever have to
I love that. Oh, it's so good.
Did you ever have to repeat anything to cameras? Because a mate of mine was on one called $1 Million Island just recently, and he like did this thing and he stormed off, and the producer's like, okay, come back, do that again.
No.
Really?
I think because they have cameras on you all the time, and I feel like as the game progresses, you know that if you want to go off and have like a really hectic discussion with someone, you can just like signal to a camera or just like wait till one's available and then like give them a nod and be like, I'm going over here, and then they'll go with you.
Right.
65 days on an island. What's your first meal? Like, they put you in a hotel? What do you eat?
Yeah, so Dan and I went back to a resort and I ordered literally one thing off the whole menu. So I got like 20. One of everything, yep. So got all these dishes. Pardon?
Like on your on the tab, Survivor tab?
Absolutely. All these dishes on the tab. And the food came at 4 a.m. That's how long the night went.
Right.
And by the time it came, I was like delusional. I had like one bite of a couple and I was so full and felt sick and went to bed.
So it's like a table full of food.
Was it amazing getting into a bed, like showering?
Oh my God,
getting into a bed?
So like
Were you like dirty? Like, were you
disgusting. Like it took multiple days of showering for the towel to not come off me and be brown. Really? And I'm in there like fully soaked, like scrubbing myself with a cloth, like everything, and still filthy.
Wow.
Like the water was coming off me like brown.
What did that feel like putting your head on a pillow?
Oh. Well, I've had people that have come out of the show and they're like, oh, I had to sleep on the floor. Like I just couldn't readjust back to real life. And I'm like, get fucked. I literally went to bed and slept for like 12 hours. Like didn't move. It was so good.
Yeah. Dracula over here.
Yeah, literally.
So I don't think you're lying, but like I just didn't know that you found out when you're watching. Like
No, 100%.
So you found out when you were watching. Like
Yeah, so I've had to like hope and wonder and
really? How long? Like how long? Like when did it finish and when did you?
We finished filming end of August.
Whoa.
And you found out like last
2 months ago.
Or end of September.
So you had to wait like 4 or 5
November,
months.
December, January, February. Yeah.
Wow.
That's hectic.
I did not know that.
I know,
Just assume
so
you knew and then you just don't tell people.
No.
Wow.
I like knew I got to the final 3 and I was like, oh, I did well, but like I don't know how well. And they're like, you're lying. And I'm like, I'm literally not. You can check my bank. Like I'm not lying.
Wow.
That's cool. That's a good detail.
That's rattled me because I was like, oh, you've known.
Yeah,
you
just
planned
gotta
a big
keep under
party.
wraps.
No, because I feel like it's nice. Like
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
watch
actually
the
it's
whole,
awesome.
Yeah, you watch the whole show and relive it, and then it's like this climax, and everyone's just like, ah.
Do you get like a text or a call from other contestants? Oh, well done, or
Oh, yeah, we had like a group chat, and everyone's like super lovely and friendly.
Jonathan in the chat?
No.
Oh, love Jonathan.
Daddy Jonathan's not in the chat.
I don't know any of these people.
Jonathan's a host.
Jonathan DeSalio.
Togliani or whatever it is.
Perfect. I just made that up. Haven't I? Mate, well done. Well done, Survivor. But I know that you feel happy about that. But I'm here to tell you, BackChat in the audience, think you've done pretty well in your career as well. So good job on
Thanks.
that.
Bloody impressive.
Good job on Survivor.